My name is Casey Wilson, and if you give me 5 minutes of your time, I'm going to share a resource that I believe will make you a much better student of the Bible. Here's the problem. The Bible is a very big book. In fact, it's 66 books compiled together. And if you're anything like me, I didn't grow up familiar with the Bible. I didn't receive my first Bible until I was 18 years old. I didn't know who David was. I didn't know who Adam was. I didn't know who Paul or really what Jesus did. I had heard about him, but I didn't know what he had done. I didn't know that there was two portions of the Bible, an Old Testament and a New Testament. And so I was clueless on what to read and where to begin reading. And I remember someone recommending that I read through the Gospels and then maybe go and read a few of Paul's letters. But after that, I didn't know what to do. And so I remember wanting to read the Old Testament and know the Old Testament. So I turned to Genesis and read through Genesis. And Genesis absolutely changed my life. Genesis is the book really where I believe God saved me. It was while reading through Genesis chapters 1, 2, and 3, seeing how God created all things, seeing why He created all things, seeing how He made man and woman, made them with a purpose, how He created all things perfect, and then how man and woman fell and rebelled and how sin entered the world. It helped me understand sickness and disease and suffering and why we live in a broken world. And so Genesis absolutely changed my life. But after Genesis, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to read. And years later, I took a class that was absolutely fundamental in shaping my understanding of the Bible. And what it was is it was an Old Testament survey class taught by David Talley. David Talley was a professor at Biola University. He taught a class that he called the story or the storyline. And I've created a graphic. It's just a free PDF. It's a free EPUB that you can download, put it on your phone, put it on your computer, keep it with you. And what it does is it shows how the 39 books of the Old Testament relate to each other. What David Talley found was he found that there was 11 books, primary books that tell the majority of the Old Testament story. And so if you put those books on a timeline, starting with Genesis, then to Exodus, Numbers, Joshua, Judges, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, Ezra, and Nehemiah. Those 11 books cover the bulk, the majority of the Old Testament history. In fact, the rest of the books, if you place them on a timeline underneath them, they show you almost like a supporting cast how those books relate. And so this is extremely helpful. This was extremely helpful for me. So what this does, if you were to come to me and ask me, Casey, I want to know the Old Testament, where should I begin? What should I read? I would tell you, start with Genesis and read through Genesis. Then maybe read Job, get into Exodus and Numbers and read through Leviticus and Deuteronomy because those books relate to each other. And then jump into Joshua and Judges. And as you get through Judges, stop and read Ruth because Ruth relates to the book of Judges. And then get into 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, get into the Kings. And as you're going through that period of history, stop and read through Psalms, read through Proverbs, read through some of the minor prophets, read through Isaiah even, or Jonah or Joel. As you get to the end of Kings, read through Jeremiah and understand how Judah and Israel went into captivity, got taken into captivity because of the rebellion. And so when you read the Old Testament like this, what it allows you to do is to see the story of God. This is incredibly helpful. Often we just kind of cherry pick through the Bible. I'll read a Psalm today. I'll read a proverb today. I'll jump in. I want to read David because I'm familiar with David's story. And in doing so, we never really see the connections. We never understand why God does what He does. We don't really understand if all you do is thumb to the prophets and read the major and minor prophets, and you don't read the history behind it, you might come to believe that God is an angry God that just wants to inflict wrath and judgment upon a people. You don't quite understand what the people were doing and the rebellion and the pain and suffering that they were causing to the nations. You don't see that. And so reading the books in chronological order, reading them really in context like this, helps you become a student of the Bible. D.L. Moody was quoted, he said, "I never saw a useful Christian who is not a student of the Bible." And I believe that to be absolutely true. If you want to be a useful Christian, if you want to be a Christian that understands who God is, what He's doing, what He's done, his story, the story of redemption, you really have to become familiar with the entire Bible. And so we've also included in this little packet a small timeline, a New Testament timeline that is broken up into the three themes: gospel, church history, and then prophecy. And it just allows you to see how Paul's letters were written and how they relate to church history. And so I hope this is helpful to you. I hope this packet is helpful to you. I'm telling you, download it, put it on your phone, put it on your computer. I have been going to this graphic that I've probably had it on my computer for, 8, 9, 10 years. And I've been looking at it over the years all the time. Almost every time I begin reading through a book in the Bible, I look at this timeline and I see how it relates to the other books around it. And so we hope this is helpful to you. This month has been completely about discipleship, two primary areas: how to understand the Bible and read the Bible, and then secondly, how to pray. And I hope this resource helps you understand the Bible. So with that, thank you. Have a good day.